What are the most frequently asked questions I get asked driving the Rivian R1T electric pickup truck? First question, who makes that truck? Well, the maker of that truck, they're called Rivian. They're an electric truck company, and they're not in China, they're not in Vietnam. In fact, they're American based. They're based out of Normal, Illinois. And in fact, Ford invested $500 million and Amazon invested $750 million into the company. They also placed an order for about 100,000 delivery vans for Amazon. So you're going to see delivery vans coming to your door very soon, and they're going to be all electric, not going to be those gas guzzling delivery vans that you're accustomed to seeing. Next question, question 2. Where is the truck made? And the short answer is the truck is made in Normal, Illinois. Haha, enter joke. Normal? That's normal? Okay, well, seems good to me. I've been actually looking at the plastic parts because, well, that's what we do, is we do product design and manufacturing. And I have seen a lot of the parts, surprisingly, are made in the United States. I look at the material and I look at the markings to see where it was made. And some of the components I've seen are made in Mexico. Other components are made in China, but the overwhelming majority of the parts I've seen are made in America, and I think that's really great. And they're also assembled in Normal, Illinois. They are ramping up production, and they'll get more out to us very soon. Another question I get asked is, how long does it take to charge? If you were to go from, say, 10% to 80%, you could do it in about 35 minutes. I know what you're thinking, 35 minutes, who has time for 35 minutes? Not me, I have other things to do, I'm too busy for that. I'll come back later when they charge in 4 minutes. Well, I'm here to tell you that that is today's technology of 2022. And they charge from about 10% to, let's say, 80% in 35 minutes. I did make another video. You can watch that in one of the links down below, or maybe a pop-up somewhere here, where I actually sat at a charging station, and I was making videos about how long it takes to charge and kind of giving people details. So if you're interested in those, check out those other videos I made. What is your range? Oftentimes people ask me, Derek, how far can you go? What's your range on that? And well, for me, it's going to be a different answer than another Rivian driver. Here's why. I have 20-inch wheels with all-terrain tires. And I had to make a concession when I was talking to the delivery guys at Rivian. They said, hey, you can take your Rivian now, but you're going to have 20-inch wheels with all-terrain tires, and you're going to lose 10% range. And I thought, cool. Well, I mean, that's okay, I think. Well, how much is 10% range? So basically, when I leave the garage in the morning, I have 293 miles. Why is it a trick question? Because there are different modes. There's an all-purpose mode, there's a sport mode, there's a conserve mode, there's an off-road mode. There are all these different modes that will configure how far you can go on that battery. So let's say you're in the conserve mode. You'll get 293 miles with a full charge with the 20-inch wheels, all-terrain tires, when you leave the garage in the morning. Now, if you have it in sport mode, you're going to get around 263 miles when you leave the garage in the morning. And that's for a more of aggressive driver, that person that likes to go fast, slow down, go fast, slow down. And then there are also all-purpose mode, where it's kind of like your general driving. The air suspension will automatically go down, automatically raise. And of course, all the modes do that, but the all-purpose mode goes from high, standard, and low, whereas some of the other modes might go from lowest to low or from highest to high. So it really just depends the mode you're in, but the answer to your question is 293 miles. That's because I have the 20-inch wheels with all-terrain tires. If you have, for example, the standard 21 or 22 inch, then you're going to have 313 miles, 313, when you leave the garage in the morning. And that's originally what I had ordered, and I realized, these new 20-inch all-terrain wheels, they're pretty cool. I really like these rugged, beefy tires. They look a little bit different than the road tires that are going to get you that further distance, but I really love them. And compared to my other trucks, I have a Hyundai Santa Cruz. I also have a Honda Ridgeline, and these wheels they're made for off-roading, obviously all-terrain, but they don't seem to slow me down a bit, and I really enjoy driving them. And I'm not too worried about the range, because driving in town, honestly, I'm driving in town. I typically will do, like, I don't know, 30 to 100 miles per day. So having those all-terrain tires, it's not a big deal. Another question is, what sort of road noise do you have with those tires? And I did another video where I take a little measuring device that measures decibels, and I actually recorded how loud it gets. And driving, I think around 7 miles per hour, say in a parking lot, it was minimal. It was basically 35 decibels. And as you get up to speed, I think around 50 miles per hour, it gets a little bit louder. I want to say around 45 decibels, but still, that's not very loud considering the air conditioning is probably the loudest thing on the entire vehicle. I always get asked, how fast does it go? That's a good question. My response is typically something like this. I usually say it goes Lamborghini fast, and it goes 0 to 60 in something like 3 seconds. If you look up the statistics, it's like 3.3 seconds, but I mean, seriously, who's rounding up or who's rounding down here? It's around, where is it? Yeah, it's 7,000 pound truck, and for a 7,000 pound truck to go 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds, guys, it is super fast. In fact, I very rarely push super hard. Even when I'm getting on the freeway, I don't usually push that hard. In fact, I don't usually push that hard. It gives me a little, I'll be honest, it gives me a little anxiety when I go that fast, because I know that I have to drive the truck, and I really have to stay in control, because when you're going that fast, it's like boom, like you're on a roller coaster and you're like taking off, and the G-force, it really hits you. And you know, you might call me names and what have you, but guys, it goes super fast. It's super fun to drive. So how fast does it go? 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds. If you have, you know, a bunch of stuff, a bunch of tools, a bunch of items, other people, it's going to go a little bit slower, and you might be able to notice that when you have the truck full of gear and the truck full of people. It's going to be a little bit slower than what you're normally accustomed to when it's just you driving an empty truck. Sometimes people ask, where can I go buy it? And the question is, online? I pre-ordered the vehicle at this point 2 years and 11 months ago. So almost 3 years ago, I pre-ordered this vehicle. So my experience was buying it online, and then I had customer service people that would answer questions, and I had some chats that I would go to as well. And from time to time, I would have a phone call with Trevor, my, I guess, delivery guide he was. So I actually bought it online, sight unseen. I didn't test drive the vehicle. I did see it once upon a time at CES in Las Vegas in 2020. I was able to peek in, and I did compare the pictures of the 2020 concept vehicle versus what they actually delivered, and overall it was very similar. There were a couple of changes, but that's for another video. Is it an all-wheel drive vehicle? And they have different options. This option actually is an all-wheel drive vehicle. I have motors on every single tire. I think they have other packages for this truck coming out very soon with 2 motors. I don't know if it's 1 motor on the front and 1 motor on the back, or if it's 2 motors in the front or 2 in the back. I'm not quite sure. I just know I have a motor on every single wheel on my truck. Is it a hybrid? I get asked this quite often. Is this a truck a hybrid? And then I say, no, in fact, it's an all-electric truck. And then people kind of scratch their heads because they haven't heard of Rivian before, and so then they kind of probe and ask, you know, several different questions. Some of them might be, you know, what's the furthest you've driven? In fact, the furthest we've driven is from Central Florida to Charlotte, North Carolina. It was somewhere around a 500-mile one-way drive, and during that time we had to stop at, I think it was 2 different charging stations, 2 or 3 different charging stations in that 500 miles. And I did that just to take caution when I was still learning the vehicle, and I'd probably still do that and take a little bit longer time traveling, not be in a rush to know that I can go to a charge station and charge, because there are some questionable charge stations out there, so you got to keep an eye out for those, and you actually have to do some planning. Especially when you're doing the longer road trips, you really need to plan, and then, you know, each day that you're doing, you want to plan the day in advance, so you know what's repaired on the charge stations, what's down on the charge stations, and what routes you should be taking based on construction and traffic. It's a little bit more work, but the furthest we've traveled was from Central Florida to Charlotte, North Carolina. Another question I get asked all the time is, well, how much does it cost to charge the truck? And I actually did 2 different videos where I show the cost of my electric here at the house, as well as the cost of the charge stations, because the electric here at my house is cheaper than it is at these commercial charging stations. So I think I pay somewhere around 11 cents per kilowatt here in Central Florida at my house. And I've worked it out, it costs around 5 cents per mile to drive the truck. So 5 cents per mile you can calculate driving the truck. And in one of my other videos I compare, and there's a chart as well, I compare one of my other trucks, the Hyundai Santa Fe, and how much it costs to drive that per mile versus this electric truck that I'm driving. And you see that it's pretty substantially different. And if you drive quite a bit for work or for pleasure, having an electric vehicle will actually save you quite a bit, especially as gas prices continue to rise. So that's something to really keep in mind. You know, how much is it going to cost for the gas, and how much does it cost to charge? So if you can charge at home, the more you can charge at home, the better you're going to be, and the cheaper it's going to be. Now, if you're somewhere where it's expensive electric-wise, or if you're charging during the day, and there's different pricing for day and for night, that's something that you're going to have to look into where you live. If you're still here watching this video all the way at the end, I really appreciate it. It takes time. You wouldn't realize how much time it takes to think about these items and to generate the content, and then how long it takes to record a video and re-record a video and edit a video. So if you wouldn't mind, just go and like it, or if you like this content, subscribe, and I will absolutely continue to make more videos for you. Just let me know what you want, and if you have items that you want to see me make, if you want to see videos of, you know, a tank turn, for example, let me know. I'll be happy to go out and record those videos and get them online as fast as possible. Thanks.